All right, so this week and pretty much really this week, we're going to cover chapter 5, chapter 6. We're going to talk about purchasing and component our costs in each section of the purchasing process. Okay. So in the purchasing process, we have 4 different steps. Okay, we talked about it briefly at the end of last class. What is the 4 steps of the purchasing process, or what are the 4 steps of the purchasing process? What's one of them? Purchasing, good. Okay, and then receiving. Okay, so inventory is part of the process. I'm going to put it over here. It's in between 2 steps. Okay, so inspecting is part of that receiving process. What do we do after we receive it? We store it. And then after we store it, once we put it into production, that's called issuing. Okay, so we issue it and it goes into production. Okay. Inventory happens in between issuing and purchasing. We're going to talk about inventory a little bit today as part of that purchasing process. And then there's one last one. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of unique. It's called, not stores. It's called directs. Okay. Directs go from receiving right into issuing. Things like fresh produce, fresh milk, fresh dairy products, things that go right from our receiving dock into the kitchen, right into production. Okay, those are called directs. This is essentially the purchasing process. So today we're gonna focus primarily on purchasing and inventory as part of that. Okay. Okay, so as we discussed a little bit already, who does the purchasing at Chili's downtown the Riverwalk? The prep cook does, okay? We want to establish who should do the purchasing, who should buy the product. Why is that important? So there's consistency. Good. Somebody who's not trained might order too much product, right? Or not enough, and then you run out of those different, maybe those star items. You run out of the items, the materials to produce those, okay? Or the incorrect items. Up in Maine, I was the only one who did the purchasing when I was the cook up in Maine. I was the only one who did the ordering. I ordered the majority of my food from Performance Food Group, which is kind of like a Cisco type company. But on the weekends when I was off, I had a gift card to the local grocery store. And so I would give that to whoever the staff member was that was cooking dinner. I would say, here's my gift card that my boss gives me, and whatever you need that I don't have, go out and get it. Well, I came back one time and they decided that they changed their dessert from Jell-O, because they didn't know how to make Jell-O, which the directions are on the package and it's boiling water. But they decided to change their dessert from Jell-O to an ice cream sundae bar. So they went to the grocery store and bought like 7 or 8 half gallons of ice cream, waffle cones, cake cones, syrup, sprinkles, and they used like half of my $400 gift card on ice cream. I was like, what did you guys do? Of course, I can't be upset because I gave them my card, right? And so from that point on, there was one person that was responsible. If you needed something, you had to go talk to that person, and they would decide, yes, I think David would agree with this decision, or no, David would not agree with that decision. You need to make do with what he gave you, okay? And so understanding who's buying it is part of that controlling that budget, controlling those costs. Then we already talked about what to buy. We want to determine what we need to buy, okay? So here's another example. Up in Maine, I was the cook. Somebody was going to be the cook for the weekend when I had my weekend off, and they wanted to make this beef, this Cuban beef. It basically was like barbacoa, okay? It's like shredded beef, like in a sauce, right? And he wanted, he said when he cooks it at home, 3 of them eat 5 pounds of meat, okay? And so he's cooking for 60 people. 60 divided by 3 is what? 20. So 20 times 5 pounds is 100. He wanted 100 pounds of meat to prepare this dish for 60 people at $10 a pound for this beef. And I was like, that's my budget for the whole week. I can't give that to you in one ingredient. And so what can we do? And so I was like, this is the meat you get. If you want, you can add extra carrots to it, shredded carrots, beef it up a little bit, you know, fill it up, and then whatever. Well, he ended up going out and buying more beef because that's what he really wanted. And I said, well, this is what you're going to get. And maybe we need to look at a different type of meat. Nope, it has to be this meat. Okay, here's the 12 pounds you get, and then anything else you want, you can go buy on your own. Okay, but we want to know what to buy. It's really important. So we've talked about product specifications already. We talked about 2 different categories of product specifications. I'll give you one of them. One is quantity. What is the other one? Quality. Okay, quantity and quality are different types of product specifications. Okay, quantity and quality. So, give me one of these descriptions right here and tell me whether it is a quantity or is a quality. 85% would be a quality. Okay, it's a quality of that apple. Quantity, okay, so that one's kind of confusing. So a quality, water content, what else? Okay, so packaging cases, a quantity of 15 pounds. Alban. Fuji apple is quality. It's the type of apple we're going for. Oops, sorry. Apple is a type of ingredient, yes. Okay, so our weight, we're looking at 10 to 13 ounces. That is a quality of the apple, right? So the quantity is we want 15 pounds. That's the quantity of apples we're getting. But the quality of the apple, 10 to 13 ounces, that's a quality of the apple. Yes. Typically, there's probably just only going to be one quantity when you're ordering because you're going to order just that one quantity. Okay? Good. So the rest of these are quality. Okay? 100% mature. I don't want. Maybe if I wanted bananas, I want them to be green so that they have time to ripen. Okay? Or avocados, I maybe want time for them to ripen. But if I'm using apples, I want them. If I'm putting them out on a breakfast buffet, I want them to be ready to eat right now. Okay? Organic, fancy. We want red apples. Okay? Red apples, green apples, does it matter? Why? The taste. Okay, the flavor, the texture of it. So if we're just putting apples out on a buffet, on a breakfast buffet, does it matter if we have red or green apples? Maybe, it depends, right? So if you're just putting them out there and green apples are half the price of red apples this time because they're on special, would you order green apples? Yeah. Absolutely, right? So that's why having somebody who's trained in the ordering process, understanding what needs to be done, they can look at that and make that decision, okay, on that product specification or that substitution, okay? Is it okay to have red apples instead of green apples? Yes. If I'm making an apple pie, I want green apples because it has that tartness, right, that crispness. If I'm just putting them on the buffet, that's one thing. If I'm putting bell peppers on my fajita plate, does it matter if I have red or green bell peppers?
You can have them both.
You can have both, right? Red peppers are a little bit sweeter. Green bell peppers are a little bit more bland or bitter. Yeah, okay, yeah, they have a different flavor. I prefer red bell peppers, right? Orange or yellow on my fajitas or in my chimichangas. Okay, but if one is significantly cheaper, is one we're sautéing them and with some onions, and we're gonna put them on a little pan to eat with your fajitas. Does it really matter? Maybe not. Okay. So the idea is that you have to understand what is an appropriate product substitution. Yes, same question. No. Oh, okay, cool. If I'm working for a prime steakhouse, is it okay to substitute USDA choice beef? No, it's in my name of my restaurant. It is a prime steakhouse. I need to be serving USDA prime.
What does that mean, like prime?
So prime is the top quality meat. Okay.
So when I went to that restaurant, Fleming's prime steak.
Yes.
Really good.
Right? Because it has that prime steak. It's that really high end, very. It's almost like like a top shelf liquor, right? So you're going. I don't know what's a top shelf liquor. Grey Goose versus Tito's. Okay. So it's like you've got the prime steak versus Outback. Okay, not that Outback is Tito's. There's nothing wrong with Outback. There's nothing wrong with Tito's. Okay, it's just we can't always afford Grey Goose and Fleming's. Okay, but we want to know, is this product an appropriate substitution? Okay, with let's say shrimp, right? We talked about shrimp last class, very briefly. We talked about how seafood is typically done by count, right? So like 10 to 12 or 10 to 14 shrimp means that there's 10 to 14 shrimp in a pound. Or if there's like 20 to 25 shrimp in a pound, which one's smaller? 25, right? Because that means there's more shrimp in that 1 pound. So if I'm serving shrimp Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo, do I need a really giant shrimp or a really small shrimp? Does it matter which one? I could get away with both of them, right? I could do either one. If I want it to be a really nice presentation, I might go for the larger shrimp. But if I'm doing a shrimp cocktail appetizer where you're eating shrimp with just dipping it in cocktail sauce, I may not want the small ones. I want the big ones, right? Hang them over the martini glass. But if I'm a catering company and I'm going to do what we call shrimp cocktail shooters, right? So I have shot glasses and I've got shrimp mixed with the cocktail sauce already. Do I want the giant shrimp? No, I want those really small ones that are in there. People can take the shot glass and then shoot it back and put the glass down, right? So there's all these different considerations of what we need to have. Where do we get these information from? What item do we get the product specifications from? From our recipe, okay? Our recipe will dictate what we need to have. How much to buy and how often, okay? So this is going to be the bulk of what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be doing a little bit of math. Does everybody have one of these handout sheets? Okay, you will need that. All right, so essentially what we're going to do is we're going to establish our par, okay? Par, what is par?
How much you have on hand.
Okay, it's how much you have on hand at all times. It's how much we have on hand that's going to help get us through business. The volume of product that we need to basically open our doors and have business until the next time we order, okay? To get us through that next time we order. That's what par is. The minimum amount of product we need to have on hand. Is par the same for every single item in our restaurant? No, it's not. Okay? Fresh items might have a smaller par because we're going to be ordering them more often. Things like canned goods or frozen product. What's that? Syrups, things like that. Dry things that go in dry storage. We might have a little bit of a larger par because they last longer. There's There's a longer time between our deliveries. Something else that influences par is our storage space. If we don't have a lot of storage space, then we don't have a lot of space to keep a lot of things on par, in storage. And so we're gonna have to order more often. Okay. And so when we establish our par, essentially we take our usage times the number of days and that's how much we need to have on hand. So somebody give me an item, an ingredient, ketchup. Okay, we're a burger place. Okay, so we're gonna, I'll use red for ketchup. Okay, how many bottles of ketchup do we use per day? If we're a burger place, all we sell is burgers and fries. How many bottles of ketchup do you think we might use a day?
20.
20 bottles of ketchup, okay. Okay, so our usage is 20 bottles. Let's say we get our orders on Mondays and Fridays. Okay, so Mondays and Fridays, we have two different pars. We have a weekday par, we have a weekend par. Okay, so let's calculate our weekday par. Our weekday. $20 bottles. How many days are in the weekdays? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? If we get our order on Friday, Friday's part of the other day, okay? So Monday, we get our order on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 4 days. So 20 bottles times 4 days equals 80 bottles.
That's just for Monday.
Okay, that's just Monday through Thursday. 80 bottles. Now, we have what's called a safety factor, okay? Our safety factor is kind of like our safety net. Because are we going to use exactly 20 bottles every day? No. Sometimes we might be busier, we might be a little bit slower. It might average out to $20 or 20 bottles a day. But in this case, we're going to do a little bit of a safety factor, okay? Let's say a 10% safety factor. Here's this percentage coming up again, okay? 10% safety factor. That means that that little extra is going to help us get through those days that are way busier than we expect and we use way more than 20 bottles of ketchup, okay? So, how do we do a 10% safety factor? What do we multiply by, Michael? 1.1. Why 1.1? Because the 1 is the 100, is the 80, so we multiply by 1.1. The 1 is the 80, and that 0.1 is the 10%. Okay, so that's our 1.1. If you wanted to, you can multiply by 10% first, and then add it to the 80. Okay, or in this case, one-step process 1.1. We get 88 bottles. That's our par. We need to have 88 bottles of ketchup on hand to get us through Monday through Thursday. Okay, now let's do the weekend. Okay, on the weekend, how many days do we have? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, okay? On the weekends, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Don't freak out. On the weekends, we're actually going to use 25 bottles. Okay, 25 bottles on the weekends. 5 extra bottles per day. Times our 3 days gives me 75 bottles. And now if we use that same 10% safety factor, it's going to be 82.5, right? 82.5? 83.5, sorry. My math's.
It was 82.5. You round out.
Oh, 82.5, and you round it up to 83 because you can't buy a half bottle. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, sorry. I thought you said you got 83, and I'm like, how did y'all get 83? Okay, 82 and a half, but like you said, we cannot order, we can't call Cisco like, hey, I only need a half a bottle of ketchup. That's gross, okay? I don't want that half bottle of ketchup. I'd be like scouring their warehouse. Oh, we got a half bottle of ketchup here. Mr. Minsky needs it over in this. No, we don't need that. That's gross. Okay, so we round up to 83 bottles. Now, 83 bottles Can I call Cisco and say I need 83 bottles of ketchup? No. You typically buy it by the case, right? So if we have 83 bottles, most cases are about 12 bottles per case, okay? So if I do 83 divided by 12, 6.9 cases, which means I need to get 7 cases, okay? So I'm going to have a little bit more than 83 bottles, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's going to all even out in a minute. We're going to show you how this ordering process happens, okay? So you see how we establish our par. This is what we need to get through this area, this time period. It could be a 2-day time period. It could be a 1-day time period, okay? On the purchasing side, on the ordering side, sometimes, like let's say we're a coffee shop and we get fresh croissants from a bakery. We might go ahead and order just a dozen fresh croissants every single day. That's called a standing order. We don't have to call and place it. We just want to say, every day, bring me in a dozen croissants, okay? A standing order. That means I don't have to actually place it. It's just an agreement between us and that bakery that will just get us back up to where we need to be, okay? An issue with sending orders, if you just say, bring me a dozen croissants every single day, and what if happens yesterday, power goes out, and we didn't have any sales yesterday. We already have 12 croissants from yesterday. Now we've got 24. Okay, so sending orders sometimes can get a little tricky. Right. So this is where we're going to go. This is your example on the first page, the top of the first page. Okay. We've established that our par is 48 bottles. Okay. Our daily usage is 10 bottles. And our inventory right now says we have 22 bottles in inventory. Okay, this one's already worked out. We're going to go through it step by step so you can see it, and then we'll work out the next one together. Okay, so we want to figure out what the amount to order. If the order is placed on Monday morning, the delivery is Wednesday morning. Okay, in these problems, as you're going through here, morning means before we even open for business. Okay. Morning means before we even open for business. So, we copy everything down here, 48 par. We've got 22 in inventory. So what do? Do we add or subtract those? Why subtract? Because we already have them. So there's no point in us ordering them because we already have them, okay? So we subtract 22 from 48. My goal is to get my product back up to 48, okay? Now, if I just ordered 26 bottles, because 48 minus 22 is 26, when that delivery comes, am I going to have 48 bottles? No. Rebecca says no, or Rachel says no, sorry. Rachel, why are we not going to have why are we not going to have 48 bottles?
We're going to use, when we open and using this before we get that delivery.
Perfect. So we're still going to be using things in between the time we order and the time that the delivery actually comes. That's what's called our lead time. Okay? Circle that. That's our lead time right here. Our lead time is the time between when we place the order and when we actually receive it. Okay? And so what I've done is I've put this kind of help you to figure out what your lead time is. I've put this little kind of calendar up here. So we order it. When do we order it? Monday a.m. That means before business is even open. So it means Monday we're actually going to use product. When do we get delivery? Wednesday morning. So we get the delivery before we open for the business for that day. So am I going to use anything on Wednesday? No. I'm going to get that delivery. So that means on Tuesday and Monday, I'm going to use product. So my lead time usage is 2 days. I have 2 X's here. 2 days times 10 bottles each day. That's 20 bottles. Okay? So now I need to do what? I need to add those back in to my order because otherwise, if I don't do that, I'm going to be short-handed. So now I add those back in, and I get 46 to order. Okay? Now, granted, I'm probably going to have to end up ordering 48, depending on what this bottle is. Okay, maybe it is ketchup. I'm going to order 48 bottles. But what's going to happen is I'm going to use it, and then my inventory will be different the next time. Okay. Mo talked about ABT. What is ABT? Actual versus theoretical, right? So she was talking about the food cost percentage, AVT. We can actually use that same concept and apply it to inventory, okay? We can apply it to our inventory. What is our actual inventory is what's called our physical inventory. It's our physical inventory. We can actually physically go and count it. Our theoretical is also called perpetual inventory. Perpetual is constantly updating. What does our computer system say? How many steaks should we have? How many salmon fillets should we have based on what our servers rang up? That's a perpetual. It's constantly updating. Physical is actually going in and counting it. So this inventory right here is a physical inventory. We've actually counted it. All right, so next one. This one is not filled out. So I want you to take a moment, see if you can work on this next one by yourself. I'm going to come around and see if you got the right answer. Okay, so what is our par? 24. Okay, our par is 24 bottles. Our inventory, what do we have in inventory right now? 6. So we do subtract. If I order 18 bottles, am I set? No, I'm not set. Okay, so I come over here. When do I order?
Tuesday morning.
Oops, Tuesday morning. No, I order on Monday morning.
So you order Monday morning and deliver Tuesday.
Monday a.m. My delivery is Tuesday a.m. So that means before work opens, before the business opens. So Monday a.m. I'm going to use product, but Tuesday a.m. I'm not. So my lead time is 1 day times the 10 bottles that I use per day. So I add to the 10 and I get 28 to order. Okay. Let's do the next one because I haven't shown you a PM one yet. So let me show you that on this next one. Okay. I'm gonna erase this and I'm gonna use this blank side down here. Okay. So this is that third one, that second one that's blank on the bottom of the first page. What is my par? 500 pounds. Okay, bless you. What is in inventory right now? 200 pounds. So what do? Subtract. I need 300 pounds. Okay. Determine the amount to order if the order is placed on Tuesday night and the delivery is Thursday morning. Okay. So right under here, under order, you are going to write Tuesday PM and delivery is Thursday AM. The PM means after business is closed. So business is done for the day. I'm going to go in and count how many pounds I have. I'm going to place my order that night. So is there any usage on Tuesday? No, business is closed for the day. We're done. Okay. So what's in between? Wednesday and now Thursday AM means we get it before we open for the public, right? So it's really just a 1 day usage. And our usage is 150 pounds. And so that means I need to order 450 pounds. Okay, so even though it says Tuesday to Thursday, the usage is only 1 day because we're ordering after we're done. Okay, when I used to work at Chester's Hamburgers, we had a par for every day of the week. And our manager would actually go in and count how much meat is left in the refrigerator, how many boxes of hamburger patties are left in there. They would figure out what the par is for the next day. They place the order, and that meat comes in the next morning. So is there any lead usage time? No. They place the order at night after the business is closed, and they get it before the business opens the next day. Okay? There's no usage time. So that's kind of the lead usage time is the thing that a lot of people forget about. Okay, we don't want to be left short-handed. Questions, comments, concerns about that?
Yeah, so the Tuesday night ordering, you said that you're taking inventory, so it's already what you used for that day.
Exactly.
So that's why you're not adding Tuesday's usage. Okay.
Yep. All right, so here you can see just kind of how the par changes for the different types of items, okay? The different items, the par for Monday is 1, the par for Tuesday is this, the par for Monday and Thursday. So this is ordering time in between. So here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've got 3 days, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I have 4 days, so I need to have a higher par. That way I can get through that. Questions, comments, concerns? And you can see that the par is different for every single item. What's the most popular item?
New York strip.
The New York strip and probably the chicken. Okay, so the New York strip and the chicken is what we have the highest par of. The things that we don't serve a lot of, we have a little bit lower par. Plus, a prime rib, you're buying a whole prime rib. I'm probably not gonna buy 24 prime ribs. Okay? I only need to have 4 prime ribs. Questions, comments, concerns about that? Okay, so defining what we need. That's first what we look at our menus, look at our recipes, to determine what we're going to order and how we're going to order. Up in Maine, when I was the cook up there, the food rep actually came to the camp every Tuesday. And so Wednesdays was my biggest order. He would sit with me, and after I got a little bit more practice with ordering, I was able to, do a lot more on my own. But when I was first brand new at it, my food rep was the one who was the most helpful in helping me realize what I need. If I ordered and I was like, hey, I need beef tenderloin. And he was like, okay, do you want the tenderloin or do you want pork loin? What's the difference between the two?
$2.
Okay, $2. But what's the physical difference between a pork loin and a pork tenderloin?
Smaller, right?
The tenderloin is smaller and the pork loin is this giant pork loin. And so he asked me, what are you doing with it? How experienced are you? Are you serving like big pork steaks, or are you just doing like, little pieces of pork tenderloin? Oh, I don't want to. If I didn't know that, if I just said, hey, get me 12 pounds of pork loin, and next thing that shows up is like 2 6-pound pork loins, I would be freaking out. Okay, I'd be like, what? Who ordered this? I didn't order this. I wanted what I think about an HEB, the little pork tenderloins, right? The 2-pound ones. That's what I want. So sometimes having your food rep help you is beneficial. Okay, so that's kind of the purchasing methods. Can it be done online? Absolutely. A lot of places can be done online, especially these corporate franchise type places. They have a whole ordering system already set up. All you have to do is go in and select from the things that you need, okay, that are based on your menus already. Yes, sir.
We also have to watch how they sell it. For example, is it by case, is it by container, or a bag?
Absolutely. You definitely can identify how it comes. My salad dressings, for example, up in Maine, okay, salad dressing, ranch, mustard, or any kind of dressings really, mustard, mayonnaise, things like that, all came in gallon containers. Well, I'm only open for 10 weeks out of the summer. Am I going to go through 4 gallons of mustard in 10 weeks? Probably not, right? So understanding that I only need 1 gallon of mustard, and can they do what's called a split case? Can they split that case? And yeah, they can split a case of mustard, because chances are they're going to sell an individual gallon of mustard to somebody else, to 3 different people. It costs a little bit more, because what if they don't sell? What if that mustard sits on their shelves for a long time because people aren't buying 1 gallon, they're buying a whole case. So oftentimes if you split a case, it's going to cost a little bit more. But for my purposes, I'd rather split a case and buy 1 gallon of mustard at a higher cost, which isn't too much more, a couple bucks more, than buy 4 gallons of mustard and be like, oh my gosh, I've got 2 gallons of mustard left after 10 weeks. Okay, how do I use up all this mustard? Chicken salad, mustard glazed pork chops. I could do a lot of things with it.
Is the case cost like to offset their like loss
Their
if no
inventory.
one buys that 1 gallon?
Right, exactly. Well, the fact that it's taking up space in their warehouse, that exactly. I mean, that's why when you think about any of y'all big wine drinkers? Anybody a wine drinker? Red or white wine?
White.
White, okay. White typically has a little bit longer shelf life because it's refrigerated. Red, not so much. So if you think about it, the red, what you pay for 1 glass of red wine is typically what that bottle cost that restaurant. Okay, if I'm paying $12 a glass of red wine, probably going to be somewhere around that $12 to $15 range. Meaning that if I open this bottle and I only serve 1 glass of wine, I'm at least going to get my money back. I'm not going to lose any money. Okay, so wine has a really, 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 really high markup. That's why, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to order a glass of wine because I can go to H-E-B and buy a bottle, right? Or go to Trader Joe's, and so sometimes it's just like, oh, but I really want a glass of wine with my steak. So, sorry, I digress. Purchasing methods. The other one is you can purchase over the phone. So Performance Food Group up in Maine, I could call in any day. We had deliveries on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I could call in any day. Of course, my food rep came on Tuesday, so my biggest order was on Wednesdays. But I could call the number and say, hey, this is David at Katie Institute of Oceanography. My customer number is this. I need to order blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. It'll be on the truck. It'll be out to you tomorrow. Okay? So phone ordering, the more access you have, the easier it is and the better it is for you as a business. Okay, the different options. Vendor selection. Okay? So what is a vendor?
Where can you buy from?
Person you buy from. Okay? So we have vendors, we have all different types of vendors. Okay? We don't have to have a primary vendor. We can. If we want to primarily order from Cisco or Benny Keith, we could do that. Sometimes, really small operations, their vendor is Costco. I'm going to go to Costco. I'm going to go to Sam's. I'm going to buy all my product from there because it makes more sense as a smaller business to do that. Sometimes our vendor might be H-E-B. If it's like a very small quantity of an item, so up in Maine, right, I use Performance Food Group as my primary ordering. But I don't want to buy in bulk something that was for someone who is like vegetarian or gluten-free. I wanted to buy things and those types of things in smaller quantities. And so that's why I would use Hannaford, which was like their version of H-E-B. Okay. So I would use Hannaford for those smaller purchases. So understanding what your needs are is something that you can do as you're making your vendor selection. Maintaining positive relationships with your vendor is so key. Okay, it is so important. Why is it important?
They keep your business.
They do. They keep your business going with all the product.
They'll be more inclined to let you know, hey, we've got this on special. We, be able to, and be able to help you with the whole purchase.
Okay, good. They might be more willing to work with you if you have that positive relationship. Let me give you an example. So I'm going to use Maine again. Okay, that's my primary experience with ordering and whatnot. So I'm going to use Maine. I'm cooking breakfast for 60 people. Breakfast starts at 8 o'clock. And all of a sudden at 7:45, and I hear the beeping, the truck is coming to make my delivery. So now I have to deliver my food, put it away, and serve 60 people breakfast in the next 15 minutes. Okay? Not cool. So I run up there and I'm like, hey, look, I really cannot order. I can't receive this order right now. Like, please, if you can't get here, or actually, I would love if you come after 9 o'clock. Don't come before that. I'm preparing breakfast, right? I'm not a restaurant that's not open to the public yet. I'm literally a camp getting ready to serve 60 people breakfast. So the next week, 8 o'clock. Beep, 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 beep. I'm like, go back there. Hey, look, you know what? I really can't receive this. Please go to your next stop and then come back, and I'll be ready once breakfast is done. Okay? The next week, he comes at 9 o'clock. Excellent. Thank you so much. Do you want a breakfast sandwich? Here's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Thank you for coming. Positive reinforcement. Okay? The next week, never happened again. I never had an issue with them coming before breakfast again, right? Oh, I had some Rice Krispie treats left over from dessert from dinner last night. Put them in a little foil package. Thank you so much. Drop it off as they're going, right? Those little things make a huge difference, okay? And then my life was so much easier because I never had to worry about receiving an order when I had to serve 60 people for breakfast. So the purchase order, this is where typically everything is ordered from. It has all the information, okay? It has the quantity, it has the price that we paid per case, and then the total amount, okay? So that purchase order is what we're going to use to compare when that order comes in, okay? In that receiving process. And it's key to have this purchase order because sometimes prices fluctuate. So if we don't have this purchase order on hand when we actually receive the order, and if the person who is receiving the order has not been trained to do so, we've got somebody who orders 100 pounds at $9.50 a pound. The person who comes in, they send 200 pounds, they sign for it. What happens when you sign for it? You buy it, right? You take responsibility of it. So they bought it, but they also signed for it at $11 a pound. So now we're $1.50 per pound more, and we have 100 pounds more of product. Okay? So what's the issue here? Somebody's going to get fired, right? Absolutely. If not fired, a very, very, very stern talking to. Okay? So now in this case, 100 pounds of beef tenderloin are wasted. Okay? Is it really wasted? No. We might be having a special on beef tenderloin. We might be, if this is something that happens, we might do a soup that has it in there. We might do a sandwich that's maybe not on our menu normally. So there are ways for us to reuse that product. It doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, it's going to go in the trash. This image is a little dramatic, okay? We can use it. We don't want to just not use it and throw it away. Yes, sir.
So on the shipping, it'll actually show the price per pound and everything on the, like when you're receiving it. It'll
Absolutely. It will.
So
yeah.
So would like a practice be to just look at the total as opposed to looking at like every individual item to see, make sure they charge you per pound correctly? Should you just be looking at the total cost? Does that make sense? Or?
The total cost of the invoice?
I was like, yeah, if it has like 12 items on there, I'm not gonna look at the price per pound of every item. I just wanna make sure the total matches up with my total and the counts match up with my count.
If that works out great, then yes. If their numbers are off, then at that point you can look and see what numbers are off.
If those numbers are off, that's when you go.
Yeah. If the invoice matches your purchase order, then yeah. The issue with that sometimes is, and I can bring in those invoices next time, next class. I ordered deli turkeys up in Maine to slice. And I ordered, on average, it's 9 pounds. But really, one was like 9.25 pounds and one was 9.4 pounds, right? So they're going to charge me for the actual poundage times the price. So I may order 9 pounds of turkey, but it may be off just a little bit. So you definitely want to check to make sure that you're getting that. Now, it shouldn't, if you have a reliable vendor, that price should not go from $9.50 to $11, okay? If you have a reliable vendor that you have that established relationship with, then, and that's an issue, then you got to call your food rep and say, look, this is what just happened, okay?
So small, as far as like a small difference, is not something that we gotta really be like red flagging. But from $9.50 to $11.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
And that small difference, the price in pounds should be the same from when you order it, because when you're ordering it at that price per pound, okay? So that should be the same. What might be a little different is the actual weight, right? So if I order tenderloin, for example, if I order pork tenderloin, I'm going to say I need 12 pounds of tenderloin. Well, they're just going to give me as close to 12 pounds as possible, right? Think about when you go to H-E-B to the deli counter, and you're like, I need a pound of meat. It never happens. They always give you a little bit more. Is that okay? Well, of course it's okay. I'm not going to say no, throw that meat away, okay? Right? But it's like, no, I said exactly 1 pound. No more. But it's the same concept, right? You ask for that, and it's going to give you a little bit more. Now, and let's use that example of the beef tenderloins the pork tenderloins that I was talking about. Pork tenderloins, they come 2 to a pack, 2 pound tenderloins, okay? And they come vacuum pack sealed, and I get 6 2-packs. So 6 times 4 is 24 pounds. I'm going to get 24 pounds of pork tenderloin because I'm buying it in that way. Tenderloin. If I buy just the pork loin, it's going to be a little bit off, right? Because it's just going to give me the total weight, but the cost per pound should definitely stay the same. Do you have a comment? Yes, Roman.
Sometimes you gotta check the invoice and make sure everything matches, because sometimes the vendor doesn't have 10 and only has 8. And then you have a little bit of time or leeway to, okay, what am I gonna do?
So at that point,
Absolutely. So they can say that they shipped 10, or they shipped 8, but you ordered 10. So the actual invoice is going to be off from your purchase order is going to be, because they only shipped you 8 instead of 10. Absolutely. So you can look at that. Yes.
so we wouldn't necessarily like reject that item because they didn't give you the right amount.
No, you can still take 8 of them. It's just you're short 2, because that means they probably didn't have it in their
So
inventory.
What you're saying for it, you're just gonna end up paying for that 8.
Just for the 8. I'm not paying for 10 because I only received 8. Absolutely. It will say 2 or out of stock or whatever. Yep. Conversation.
It's definitely important to review your orders with that.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're.
Well, and also know, and have your purchasing order and know your purchasing
Right,
order, what
right.
you ordered.
Good. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you would have missed like
Exactly. To compare that to the invoice. Good. Okay, so what time do we have? We still have about 10 more minutes. Okay, so improving our ordering system. The more people that are trained, the easier it will become. Okay? Or, like in most situation at Chili's, she's trained that one person, so she doesn't have to worry about it. They've done it so often that they know, she's confident that they're gonna order appropriately. Okay? Security concerns with ordering. So I'm gonna use my time up in Maine again. Not my time. Before me. Okay? There was a cook one summer when I wasn't there, and my boss started looking at the invoices, and there was really nice steaks on the invoices. But the camp wasn't eating steak.
He was.
He was, okay? And so she broached him and she said, hey, what's going on? Oh, well, somebody must have taken that out of the inventory, out of the storeroom. So they had to like actually lock the storeroom to make sure that nobody was going into the storage room, okay? Another one was with the gift card to the local grocery store. She actually, the boss, so this is an example of you need to be following up, you need to be monitoring, okay? She was reading the receipts, and she told me one time, she's like, Dave, if you're ever out there and you're buying groceries and you want to buy yourself a soda, that's okay. And I'm like, no, that's $1 something, but that's not my money. This is camp money, right? If I want to buy a soda, I'll buy a soda separately with my own money. But thank you. But she was saying that one time she was looking at receipts, and there was like really good, nice, quality ground coffee on the receipts, but the camp was drinking Folgers. Okay? So it's like, wait a minute, where's this good coffee coming? Okay, now guess what? You've lost your privileges for purchasing. You need to order everything through me. Okay? And so that security, that is product. That product is money. It's dollars. And we need to take care of that inventory and in that purchasing. We don't want to order too much. We want to order what we need to order. And that's why it's so important to have those employees trained. Okay. And then just basic record keeping, knowing what your purchase orders, what is coming in based on your invoices, and to compare those two things. Okay. So a purchase requisition, oftentimes, what's the root word of requisition?
What?
Request. Okay, the root word of requisition is request. So I request, I want these items. I send them to my purchasing department. Purchasing department actually places the order. We get the invoice. This is the receiving report. Is there anything different between our invoice and our purchase order? And then we actually then sign for the we sign for the invoice, and the invoice is paid. Okay. Here we can look at a sample of an ordering schedule. So this one right here, we have ordering Monday and delivering on Monday. This is our produce. Okay. Our produce is something we want fresh almost every day. So you can see we order it and deliver it. We get order and delivery options for every single day. Our meat, we order it on Monday, it comes in on Tuesday. We order it Thursday, it comes in on Friday. Okay? Does this make sense?
Yes.
So that way we can have an actual schedule of when we know when we can expect for different items to be coming in. Questions, comments, concerns about purchasing?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I know that like with certain like Cisco and stuff, they do tend to charge for how many times they go out there. So does that go all the way back to like the beginning of your relationship with them, as far as how many times
Yeah,
a week you
and
need to
that's-
actually?
That's a good comment. So Cisco, or was it Benny Keith? Benny Keith. Benny Keith, for many years, has been trying to get the business of the Acadia Institute of Oceanography. That's my summer camp that I worked for. Okay, Benny Keith. Every summer I was there for the last 4 years, we're trying. Is that a fire for another building? Let me look. See, hold on.
They might be testing.
No, they're doing that.